Wait, Dan, why are you Bryce Lover 69-3? Were the first two taken?
Wait, what?
They must have been taken,
Oh.
dude.
It's supposed to be less than 3. Does the less than not show up?
Oh, yeah, it's just an underscore.
Oh, like a heart?
Yeah, it's supposed to be a heart.
Yeah. No, it just looks like you're the third one.
Listen, there are definitely more than 2 other people that love Bryce.
Me and Zach are one
Yeah,
and
you're
2.
the other 2. What's going on, guys? It's Bryce again. Welcome to another episode of the Expedition to Try podcast, where I have no idea what I'm doing with my life. I'm assuming a lot of you don't either. We're going to try and figure it out together. Oh boy, this is going to be a rough one. We have 3 people sitting in one podcast lobby, whatever you want to call it. If you're just tuning in to the 1 month of the Kings of Nothing, we've already done Brandon Porter. Dan the Man Grogan was on next. And then we had Zach from home, Hutson. And now we brought them all together. One band, one podcast. So this could be rough. But just in case the listeners are scrubs and didn't hear your individual episodes, do you want to introduce yourself? Just say, like, I guess small things about you and like what you do in the band. Brandon's first on my screen. We're going to go Brandon, Dan, Zach. How about that?
I feel like they're scrubs if they have heard the other 3 videos. I'm Brandon. I'm about 5'6" in height. And I play the bass. And I attempt to sing in the Kings of Nothing.
I'm Dan. I'm about 5'7", so suck it, Brandon. I play drums in the Kings of Nothing. And just want to comment, to call us 3 people in one band is an exaggeration. So I appreciate that hefty intro, but
I'm Zach. I am also a 5'6". I got measured recently at the doctor's office. I was very excited. I haven't been shrinking. And I play guitar, or I try to, in the Kings of Nothing.
World's tallest band.
Zach, you're the one person who shouldn't be saying that he tries to play an instrument or do something. That's Brandon and Dan. What if this whole podcast is just going to be us shitting on the Kings of Nothing?
This is the anti-Kings of Nothing month, not the Kings.
We got actors to play the members of the Kings of Nothing.
We don't want anyone else to listen to us, so we're trying to get as much negative content out there as possible.
I was going to say, there's the movie about the guy who made the really terrible movie. We could do the same thing about our band. Yeah, The Room.
Oh, yeah,
the guy who made The Room.
Making this really terrible podcast about...
Yeah, we're going to make a movie about how bad this podcast is, about how bad the band is.
we'll call it the T-Cast.
T-Cast the movie. Okay, let's, before we go so off track, can we go into how the 3 of you met and then how you formed the band? What's the whole timeline? See, this is what I don't know. How are we going to go through this?
I think probably Zach or Brandon should start for sure, because I was not in the picture for a bit.
We can do it the same way and just each give our own renditions. No, I'm just kidding. In order. No. Well, me and Zach met in preschool, so a long time ago. And then we were friends for up to then, the whole time. I think I met Dan before Zach in 9th grade algebra.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And we kind of knew each other.
This is sort of true, because apparently me and Dan used to hang out at the same pool, but neither one of us remembers meeting each other.
Yeah, our parents seem to remember, but we have no clue.
Wow, block that out.
Yeah.
We tried to set you guys up so many times and it didn't work.
Yeah.
But yeah, so okay, so Zach and Dan met each other, but I met Dan in 9th grade algebra.
Geometry.
And we kind of, yes, geometry, and we kind of knew each other, through like mutual friends and stuff. And then we got closer, I'd say, Dan, in 11th grade when we sat next to each other in English class and completely derailed that entire class. And at that time, me and Zach started. Zach played. When did you start playing guitar, Zach?
I started in like third-ish grade.
Yeah, and I started like going into high school, and then it got me and Zach eventually were just like, I've been like making some stuff up, and Zach's like, I've been making some stuff up. So when we started doing music together, like we should do it because we had similar interests, obviously, and similar musical tastes. So we started like trying to make stuff, our own like recordings and songs and stuff. And then so 11th grade when I got closer to Dan, I knew Dan was played drums, and I was like, hey man, well I guess we like try to do something earlier.
Yeah,
and then it kind of fell through because we never practiced or got together.
Well, were you originally supposed to play with Myron with us or no?
I was like, oh yeah, our mutual friend Myron, like I made a deal with him. I think I was like, yo, like we need a bassist and a drummer because I played guitar then. Right, I still play guitar, but that was my plan. And I was like, and they're like, you guys just lost a guitar player, and so I was like, I'll fill in for you guys if you like, either help out with me and Zach or help find someone or whatever. So yeah, sure. So I think I played once with you guys. We practiced once, and I don't think it went well. And that kind of fell apart. And then by the time, like, it was like us two, I think like it was supposed to be Myron and Dan joining me and Zach. And we got together for like that video project that Dan had to make. There's a really funny video that existed.
Somewhere on Facebook.
Somewhere, yeah. For like a video project for class, yeah. And then so that's like the one time we got together. Like we just couldn't get together for practices. I mean, it's hard enough to schedule 3 people, let alone 4. So I knew Dan. I think Dan, we were maybe talking like you had stopped playing with whatever you're doing. Weren't you like trying to start like a metalish band with like Lucas Canado?
That was in 9th grade.
Okay.
Oh no, that was I forgot about that.
Because I think
I think like 11th grade.
Yeah, because I think the thing was like I it came up and I was like, oh, like how have you guys been doing things? You're like, nah, I think it's not happening. Like we're not really gonna do it anymore. And so I knew Dan was like bandless. And I was like,
I was still playing with Myron at the time, but like
I guess so, yeah.
That was always consistent somewhat, but then
right.
I remember like the condition for me playing with you guys is like you guys got to be doing something, and Brandon was like finally like
we're actually doing something for once.
I'm like,
well, yeah, because earlier on it's like we hadn't even done anything yet, and it was just like we should try to get together and practice and make something, and we just never could swing it. But now we're like we're actually making stuff, so. We're like, Dan, you want to play? And he's like, all right.
Yeah.
And here we are.
Oh, boy. So, in each of your individual interviews, which you should all go check out, go listen. I'm not talking to you guys. I'm talking to the listeners, all 2 of them.
I'm going to listen too.
Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Even in my own.
I'll have 3 listeners this
I'm
time.
only listening to mine.
So,
I'm only listening to Dan's.
Should we settle it first of all, once and for all? Who's the coolest member of the band?
It's Zach.
It's Dan.
Yeah, we all know.
Zach is the silhouette. If you didn't already know,
we got Shadow Zach today.
Shadow Zach.
All right. So in each,
he doesn't want to be associated with the band. That's why he's blocking out.
It changes his voice. I allegedly play guitar, and
yeah.
Holy Lord. You each brought up the your worst show. You each said the exact same show. So instead of that one, we're going to talk about and see if you have a consensus best show. We can go down the line again. Now it's Brandon, Zach, Dan, if we want to go in that order again. Or we can go Dan, Zach, Brandon.
Doesn't matter.
You're the ringleader.
Dan, go for it. What's your best show for TKON?
Well, I may be biased. I think it might be our most fun show. I don't know if it was necessarily our best, like, well-played show, but the first show we played in Binghamton in Matt Folkert's parking lot of a house, I think that was just, like, the best fucking time. I don't know. I loved it. But in terms of, like our actual playing, definitely the show we had after our work show. Where nobody showed up except for like a couple people. that was probably our better show, but
The poly
I
host.
think that's the one we consensus all agree was our best show in terms of our play.
I don't agree, Dan, actually.
Really?
I think our best show... Well, I guess maybe in terms of playing, that was actually probably a pretty good show. But in terms of actual best show with like people there, I think it was the Indistinct Chatter release show. Like a lot of people came, and there was a couple of songs where people were like super into it, and I think that overall that was like the best show between us and audience and actually performing well.
Tickled my mouth.
Me racking my brain trying to remember what that show
That was at
It-
Chestnut Street in Binghamton, I think.
okay.
It was in the
In our
basement,
basement,
where
we
there
had
was
that
like
little-
the cutout.
Oh yeah, that was a great
Dan's like,
show.
I'm switching. I'm switching my answer. That one.
Hey, all these shows that are good involved a Four Loco. So.
I think my answer is also Zach's, the release one. We played 2 in the basement. One was like fine and good. That one was just like packed. I think honestly because we had Natural Born Kissers open, this other Binghamton band of people we knew, so and people really liked them, so that kind of helped. But I think that show was awesome. That was like my favorite. But I don't know if it's jumping the gun to Bryce's question, but my favorite moment from a show.
That's my next
was
question.
it was at the one Dan went to, and it did involve Four Loco.
Yeah. Yes,
I don't know. I'll
I
explain.
think
Yeah.
Dan should say this story.
I feel like I can't tell this story. If anybody tells this story, it has to be Brandon, just because
Yeah,
you
'cause
do the
I asked.
imitation of me better. No,
So-
you do the imitation of me better than I do. Like,
We'll just go right into it. So I was gonna ask, what are some of your favorite moments from any type of show, parties or
Mine is actually there's 2 from that same show. The one that we're referring to is I turned around at one point and Dan goes to me, dude, I'm way too drunk for this, because he just had a Four Loco throughout the whole show as he was
hold
playing.
on, you need to preface that this is right before a song where I do like like
I
solo.
said, I go, Dan, the next song has like your one drum solo, and Dan goes, and then we just start. So that was great. My other favorite moment is that same show. The cops came. One of a couple times, cops have been called at us for noise complaints, and everyone, because it was out in Matt's parking lot, everyone goes inside basically as they see the cops come up. And the cops came up to us, and they were like, I was like, oh, is it like a noise complaint officer? He's like, yeah, there's quite a few of them actually. I'm like, oh, okay, we're done now. We'll stop. No problem. He goes, okay, good. That last song, Sum 41? I go, yeah. And he goes, sounded pretty good. I'm like, okay, thanks. It was just like completely sideswiped me. It was so funny.
I think it's so funny. Well, first of all, I missed that party, of course. And then
Did you?
yeah, I was back home for
Monte Carlo.
no, it was a hospital gala, I think, because it was October. Because it was Halloween, I think. Right?
Yeah, it was Halloween. Yeah. The theme was like a 5-minute Halloween costume.
I just think it's so funny how you in particular, Brandon, always approach cops the same ways. You're always like ready for what they're gonna say, and it catches them so off guard that I don't think they know how to respond. I think that's hilarious. You always
because like I know what they're gonna say.
noise complaint. Yeah, we're
Noise
done. We're done.
complaint?
And they're like,
Yeah, we're done.
oh, okay,
We don't want any
all
trouble.
right, bye.
Well, I don't know. The last show we played in Binghamton, which I
God.
think was our last show,
Party barn.
Yeah,
did
it
get
was.
shut down by some cops who came for noise complaints. And as soon as they showed up, Brandon right into the microphone just goes, "Oh, what the fuck? God damn it!" And then just like storms out of the barn that we were in.
The reason I said that is because they came in with like a light, like a strobe light, flashlight kind of fucking thing. So at first I was like, who the fuck is doing this? Like I thought it was just some kid like being like, right? But then I saw it was a cop. I was like, fuck. It went over.
Zach, do you have any? You brought up the mosh pit at the Chestnut party. Do you have any other favorite moments from party shows or just live shows in general?
I think some of the best ones are usually, I don't have like a specific one, but it's usually when we get other people involved. Like you were in quite a few of our shows where you would come in and do funny things, whether it was like on the drums
Yeah, but
or
you
with
didn't ask
like
me to do that.
cowbell.
I just did that myself.
Yeah, but that's what made it good.
Bryce is the
It
official
happens all the time.
tambourine guy of the band.
I remember the one time
Yeah.
you didn't bring a tambourine and you just had the little egg shaky thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was doing it, but I wasn't happy about it. Sorry, Zach, I interrupted you. Continue.
That's all right, Bryce. I think that's really what it is. Just having like friends around to do it, like to be at shows, and then if they come up and do whatever, or even like our first show that we played, which was like this like church benefit kind of show. We had like a couple friends that we knew who did like a mosh pit right in front of the stage. We were the first band to play, and it was like that was pretty cool. Like they didn't have to do that, but they were just hanging out and having a good time. So it's always stuff like that.
All right, Dan, your turn.
I don't know if it's necessarily my favorite, but I think I forget the name of the festival. But it was like an Earth Day thing or something like
Earth
that.
Dage.
Yeah.
Earth Dage, yeah. I think that was one of my favorites, just because people were going so hard inside that like we actually broke the floor of the house.
I don't know if that was during us though, but
it was. We definitely didn't help because
Yeah.
people were going kind of nutty for us too, and like.
Well, also I was gonna say we're supposed to play outside, and I think like cops were driving by because it was getting kind of loud.
Yeah.
It was huge. I can't believe they did made it as big as they did. But by the time we had to go, it was like, oh, we're playing inside now, and it was like a tiny living room. That was a good show too.
Yeah.
That's up there for me too.
That was
Yeah. Yeah, I think in general, just like for me, the best shows are always the one where it's like close quarters, like tight room, just a ton of people packed in there going crazy. Like I love that shit.
It seems like there's way more people there than there actually is.
Yeah.
Wait, Bryce, that reminds me, like, I don't know if you guys have seen, there's a music video for the Menzinger song After the Party, and they go in a basement, and it's like that. It's, like, packed. And I think it was, like, on the TV one day, we were, like, watching music videos, Bryce. And remember Billy goes, damn, we've done that.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, man, that's actually really cool to think about.
Oh, jeez. That was Singlety's house, right? The broken floor?
Yeah.
I remember that. Good times. I wore my leather jacket that day. Whew. I think it was also raining that day, wasn't it? That's why we went inside?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay. Let's get into the album. So, the new album you just released a couple weeks ago now is called The Getting There. So, what is the meaning behind the title of the album, first of all?
Well, that's something I guess I came up with and brought to Zach and Dan, and I was like, I think this kind of works with the songs. I guess it could be interpreted as like, I think most people would probably see it as like, oh, it's about the journey, not the destination, that kind of shit. But when I originally wrote it down, like in my phone notes as an idea, it's more of like when people ask you how you're doing, and it's like, I'm getting there, right? But really, you're kind of going through it, sort of thing. It's more of like, this is the getting there. This is what you mean, kind of, when like, I'm getting there. Like, it's okay. Like you're going through this whole thing, right? And all this stuff happens to you. So that's kind of was. And that kind of, like I said, relates, I think, to a lot of what the songs are about, like just kind of dealing with shit you're going through and stuff. So I guess it could still be about like the getting better process, but more so I think it's more like what you're really going through when you say like, I'm good. Yeah. But
not really. Zach and Dan, do you have additional comments, or do you agree with what he said?
Not really. I mean, he was the one that came up with the title, so I feel like the interpretation there is on his part.
I feel like a lot of stuff we come up with, like in regards to that kind of stuff, like titles or like, ideas for like a cover or something, it's more of just, I feel like 9 times out of 10 it's just like, hey, like what about this idea? And like whoever says it, the other two are like, yeah, cool. It's like, that sounds cool.
So what?
The one thing
go ahead.
The one thing you made me think about the title, Brandon, was you're like, yeah, it's getting there. It's okay. I thought you were talking about the music for a second. You're like, yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
We're getting there.
It's getting there.
Maybe one day we'll be all right.
What was when was the album like first brought to light? I don't know if that's the correct way to phrase it, but like after you released Indistinct Chatter, was it like, all right, let's start planning for the next album, or was there a break in between and then you were like, hey, maybe we should start recording a new album? How did it like come to fruition from the beginning?
So it kind of like, I feel like as a band, we're usually, once we're done with an album, we're kind of just like moving on to the next
Yeah.
stuff, and like we're all super eager to, because like once you do an album, it's just like you've done this shit for or like so much, just like nonstop, that you kind of just want to move on. But like we're always trying to write music. The difference with this album was Brandon was still in Binghamton for what, like 2 years by the time we released Indistinct Chatter.
Yeah.
Maybe a year. But so it was basically like me and Zach, we were just jamming at home without Brandon, and that's a story for if we talk about some of the tracks. But yeah, and like we just worked on a bunch of different songs, and it kind of sounded like, I feel like it's a different vibe than what we're really used to working with. So we built up a lot of cool ideas. I think 4 of them made it, maybe 5. Because we have Counting Sheep,
7.
Zadmap 7,
Leaving.
Leaving. What's the first song on the album called? I should know this.
1001. 1001.
1001. I think there's. Oh, and then
there's more.
There's one more song that for sure. I forget the name of it right now.
On the Floor Again.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yep, that's it.
There's another though, I think.
So, like a lot of them just kind of got spurred from those jam sessions. Zach had guitar riffs, and I was just like, yeah, I'll jam to these. And we kind of just got a good base of songs to go off of. And Brandon had some ideas he came back with from school. We just started jamming on those too, and we all of a sudden had like 15 songs that we were working with that were just like, okay, we're gonna pick the best ones here, cut them down, and then we'll put them on an album. So
I think too, what's kind of funny is like there's almost this weird unspoken natural like feeling of when to do, or for us anyway, of when to do an album again. We're not very much a band where it's like, all right, let's do an album now, and we start writing. It's like we're always kind of making stuff. So I feel like by the time we finish an album, we already have stuff started for what's next. And it's almost like there's just, like Dan said, like you spend so much time recording something or working on stuff, but then you want to play it live for a bit. But then eventually it's like, all right, we've played these songs live however much, that we're kind of ready to move on. Like there's just kind of like natural moments of like, all right, what's next, but like Dan said, we are always making stuff, so we're eager to be like, what's next
yeah.
Do you think it's helpful in that regard to like not put so much pressure on yourselves to produce more music, because you don't say have what's the word for it? Producers, or the company that watches over you, management that's like, all right, time to start new music, so you just have that time to like just write stuff down, and then when you start getting the vibe, like, oh, maybe we should do you think that all kind of helps in your earlier process of, well, I guess not super early, but process of being a band?
I think if we did try to like just constantly create stuff, or if we wait opposite too, if like we waited too long to like make something like a certain way or whatever, like I think we just never would get shit done, because like I said, we're always kind of just coming up with ideas on our own, and then bringing it to each other. So it would just like, it doesn't really work. I guess it wouldn't really work that way. It would like never end. It's just like we all have songs in the bank ready to go.
I also think we sort of produce stuff ourselves in a way. Like, so I'll have like maybe 10 ideas that I come to with practice that are recorded. Brandon will have some, Dan will have some, and we sort of sift through being like, well, does somebody else hear something in that? Like one of the songs that made this album, I recorded just had like a little guitar demo, and Dan heard the song in a totally different way than I heard it, and like that became the song. So it's kind of like what stuff that we have individually do other guys in the band see, and then we kind of run with those ideas.
And even before,
I think, like, go ahead.
You go.
I was just gonna say, like, me personally, if I hear some idea, like, I know right away, like, whether I want to do something with it or not. I may be like a little harsh on like some of your ideas sometimes, so sorry, but like, um, I just sometimes I'll hear something and I'll be like, that kind of doesn't really seem like it's going anywhere, and then I'll hear another thing like, ooh, I can work with that. That sounds cool. Like, a lot of the process kind of ends up being somewhere along those lines between all three of us. So like, um, the lack of like, we don't really have like a set schedule on like when we want to start working with stuff, or like we kind of just go with the flow, and that really helps the creative processes. I think if we did have like somewhat of a expectation, we would like not be having as much fun with it or be putting out decent enough songs. Sorry, but go ahead, Brandon.
No, I'm glad he said that actually first, because like I was gonna say, we almost kind of vet. I feel like we vet our own ideas ourselves. It's like, you know what, like this one's not really going anywhere, but it's like, oh, I wrote the whole song already, like or the framework for it, right? And then we bring it like those kind of like more completed ideas, or the ones we think individually, like, oh, there's something there. Maybe the guys will think so too. Then we bring it, and then we all kind of do the same thing again together. And then kind of like Dan said, it's like more go with the flow. Like, it's like, oh, we have like 10 plus songs. We could probably record these. Like, it kind of just like forms itself in a weird way. It's kind of cool.
How do you think?
No pressure.
How do you think your writing process will change now that you are all back in one area at the same time? Do you think it'll change, or will it still be kind of that separate, write your own kind of things, come up with ideas, and then come together every once in a while? How do you think it'll play out from this point forward?
I feel like it already has. Like, this was the first time that we were all kind of in the same place for longer than like a summer together because of school. So you know, it allowed. I mean, you, Zach and Dan, you guys did stuff together while I was away, obviously. But even for stuff now, I feel like I felt like I came with more personally more bare bones stuff, and just like, let's make this together more than we have in the past, maybe. It's just because we have the time to actually like hang out and work on stuff, you know.
Yeah, just to comment on like the process that we used to write too, like, um, at least my first album with the band, I consider it the first album, but like it's for sure not, because you guys did stuff before me.
Yeah, but like, are those really albums we want
Yeah,
to
that's
consider?
the
We try
thing.
to
Like,
get
I
those.
don't consider Rock Band Drums a full album. But anyways, like the first album I did with TKON was just a bunch of like pre-done ideas that like Brandon had like a stash of songs he wrote through high school, essentially, that, or like just through his whole life, I guess, that we were trying to get done. And at some point during Indistinct Chatter, we were kind of like thinking, well, we don't really need to like go through all these, like we can kind of start writing together. And we really only did one song like that was not just a prescribed idea that Brandon or Zach had written before, like together. Spit was like the first song we just kind of sat down and wrote from scratch together. And
World War III, though.
Oh yeah,
Like
true.
well, I think those were together and they kind of like broke off.
True, yeah. I forgot about that. But yeah, like I think our processes for this album kind of has become like, okay, we're gonna take like these very small ideas and just kind of expand on them together, rather than like one person expanding on it, having like a shell of a song already and bringing it to the band. Instead, we're going to create that shell together and see what we get. And I think that has kind of been working out for this album, at least for the most part. Still, we have some songs that are like pre-written already, but before they even get to the whole band. But like, um, I'd say a good portion, maybe like half of the songs were just kind of written completely just between either some pairing of us or all three of us together. So
Well, I think the cool thing too is like, I feel like all of us kind of instinctively at this point, because we've been together so long, like rely on each other. Where it's like, even if I write personally like the entire lyrics to a whole song, I kind of have the whole structure of like what's going to be in the song. I really don't even think about the music that much at this point. Like I have ideas, but it's more like Zach and Dan will come up with like I literally write like solo here, like drum intro here, and like they'll come up with it.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's same thing. It's just like whether you write the whole music or the whole lyrics, it's just like we kind of know it's like, all right, let's bring that not completed full thing to everyone else and make complete together now.
Well, I also think that started with the first album that we recorded with Dan, and it was the last song that we practiced for that album, which was "You've Changed."
Yeah. I was just
And
Oh
thinking
yeah. Yeah.
like it was more bare bones with what you had for that song. We were like, well, we're going to record it, and we were learning how to record it for like in a couple of days. And that was the first like full encompassing, I think, writing that we had together, because we had basically to rework the music totally for the most part. And then Dan came up with like the time change, the time signature change,
Oh yeah.
and then
Yeah.
we added these different parts that I think made that probably the best song on the first album. Like I added a guitar solo, we added, it totally changed the dynamic. It wasn't just like, oh, this was pre-written. It was like we worked on it together and each came up with certain things that made it what it was.
for those curious, that was the "I'm Too Drunk for This" song. But
Oh, it was. Wow. Look at that.
Full circle. Should we just end it here? No.
yeah.
So, what are some lessons you've each learned from this past album? Something when you start coming out with more music that you'll change. Like, what have you learned from making the music?
I got one. I think it was Zach's idea. In the past, like we kind of recorded in the way we thought bands recorded, where it's like you do all the drums first, and then, or you do a scratch guitar, and then you do all the drums, and then you do the bass, and then the guitar, and you like keep layering it. Zach's idea was, I think, to just like, why don't we just do one song at a time, all the way through, and then we move to the next one. I really like that a lot better in terms of recording this time, because it let us focus on the one song, get it to where we wanted to, and that kind of felt fresh to restart. It wasn't just like, all right, Dan's got to play 13 different songs today, or and then we're all just kind of waiting, and it's like, all right, now I got to do all the bass, and it was just a better process, I think, and I hope we'll probably do that next time too.
It's a lot less pressure as well, like in terms of being like, oh well, now we have to do this for completely through for basically the whole album at once. And I also think it led to more creativity, because we could be like, okay, let's try these types of backing vocals in this spot, or like say the words in a slightly different way, or even if it was adding in something on guitar or bass, like a bass fill or shaker and tambourine and stuff like that. We could just kind of try it out better.
I think, yeah, you're right. We did try more like in the recording process rather than just in practice, for sure.
Mhm.
Plus, it builds in breaks. It's like, all right, I'm done. It's not my turn anymore.
Yeah, I think next time too, it's just the more you do music recording. This is really our only. Wait, did we do Indistinct Shatter by ourselves? We did, right?
Yeah.
So like this is our second album doing it on our own, not including the EP we did after Indistinct Shatter. So like the more you do something like this, the more you kind of learn like little things and like how to improve it next time. I feel like I already have like 5 different ideas of like what I can do better personally, like strictly just drums alone, like to make it sound a little better, and like be able to do more once I get to like the mixing and editing part, stuff like that. So just like picking up on little things like that in terms of the whole recording process is nice. But to expand on what they said, yeah, like just adding in, we never had keyboard or like piano in a song before, and we have 2 tracks I think that have that right now. And like tambourine and shaker, I've been wanting to like get some more of those types of percussion than for a while, and I feel like it just fills in the song pretty well. So like it was good to throw that stuff in. Backing vocals definitely helped. I think this is probably the first time we've really done like straight up like backing parts rather than like gang vocals or like
We definitely thought about it way more.
There was actually, didn't you do one in oh god, what's the last song in Indistinct Shatter? I'm so bad with this.
Yeah, we did backing vocals on Hurt. You're right.
Hurt.
Hurt.
Yeah, Hurt.
Yeah.
There are. I think there are backing vocals on that, right?
Yeah, me and Brandon did
Well,
those.
we definitely took more time though to try to figure them out.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's like a perfect example of like I think I don't know if any of us for most of the songs we came with like had planned that even when we wrote all together. It was more of just like while we were recording, it's like, all right, let's think about possible backing vocals as we record this today or whatever. And then we kind of like would try out those ideas. So that was kind of fun, actually.
Well, that song wasn't even supposed to have like drums or anything.
Right,
That was going to be a straight acoustic song, and I was like, no, I can jam to this. I'll throw something on there.
What are some of your favorite songs on this album and why?
Go ahead, Brandon.
Me?
I'll let you
I forgot we've been doing that already. I think for me, how do you choose? No, I think for me, I personally, I think like On the Floor Again and Song I Woke Up With are kind of my two up there ones. And I think, this is selfishly, I think it's because of lyrics. I think I was pretty proud when I wrote those lyrics. And I think they kind of hit home, or they're more like nuanced than other stuff I've maybe written. So I like those for those reasons. But I think there's other songs or moments of other, like I can go into, we talk about this all the time. Like there's moments of certain songs where I'm just like, oh, that is my favorite guitar part on the album. That is my favorite drum fill or whatever. And it's like, it's almost like I have favorite parts of each song too, I think. It's like just having favorite, those maybe are probably my top songs right now. It changes too. Like like we were listening back, I'd be like, oh, you know what? No, it's this one. This is my favorite song. And then if we listen to another one, it's like, no, it's this one. So it does change.
I think for me, it's probably I Don't Know and On the Floor Again. And I Don't Know I really like because I think it's probably one of our best written songs. And we've played it a bunch of times, whether it's at practice or even at, I think, one or two shows. And I feel like it's always fun to play. Like, it's always, like, fresh and, like I'm still not tired of playing it. And there's a lot of cool dynamic parts. Like, Dan does this thing that kind of matches with the guitar part, but Brandon kind of cuts out in between the two sections of the verse that I think is pretty cool. And also for On the Floor Again, I'm really proud of that song because that kind of started out just as a guitar riff, and it's got all these like odd chords in it that aren't usually used in like a typical punk rock song, and it came together in a really cool way that is just different from a lot of the other stuff that we normally do. And selfishly, it's a really simple guitar solo, but I really, really like the guitar solo.
the beep.
Oh,
yeah.
And the random beep that was a complete accident that we thought was a screw up turned out to be really cool. So
yeah. I feel like it's tough to answer these questions because like we're all kind of biased in our own like aspects of like certain parts. Like if you were to ask me what my favorites would be, it'd be like Leaving and Counting Sheep, because like I wrote the lyrics to both of those, and so it's like more personal to me in that respect. So I feel like in my brain it's just like, oh, those are my favorite songs, you know. But like outside of them just being good songs in general, but like Zach said, I think I Don't Know is probably our most well-rounded song on the album. It's the most well-written. I think it's just got a really good vibe, and it kind of like matches. It's a more modern version of like our older stuff, I think, and like I think that's kind of cool. We're improving on the whole punk rock thing somewhat, so it's good to know that there's some progress there. I will say like 1001 is really cool too. Just like the whole dynamic. Dragon City I think is one of my favorites just because of the way we wrote that song. We first of all, we go to this place called Dragon Buffet a lot for lunch whenever we have practice, and for whatever reason we all thought it was called Dragon City Buffet, and it's actually called Dragon
Mandela
Buffet.
effect, dude.
So,
you got Mandela effect.
Yeah, exactly.
We did. It was like a moment where we're all like, what the hell?
Yeah. So
Brand's pulling out a punch card.
Yeah. Yeah, we got the Dragon Buffet there.
What if it said Dragon
like,
City Buffet? Can you imagine?
Yeah. But that song was cool because we had this idea of like writing lyrics out of fortune cookies. So everything but the choruses, right?
Because I think we were there and you had one day and you're like, I forget what line it was. It might have been like the ship and harbor thing or something.
Oh,
and you're
yeah.
like, that sounds like a lyric, and I was like,
Yeah.
it does. And then we like started talking about it, and I think we had both we had like a stash of old fortune fortunes.
You
just to
had
put away.
most of them, I think.
Yeah. So we just went through and like puzzle piece it together. And then I came up with a chorus lyrics later. But yeah, all the verse lyrics are from fortune cookies.
Oh, that's
Hey, Brandon.
Yeah, so
fascinating.
Do you want
And
to hit us with your favorite line of the song? Because it's the best part by far.
there's a dick joke in that song, but it wasn't what we came up with. It was on a fortune
Oh my
cookie.
god.
So it was what was it? It's not the length of the play, it's the performance that counts.
yeah.
So and we're like I remember the moment we got it, we're like, this is a dick joke. And like we put that in.
The amount of times he broke out laughing
Oh,
trying to record that line.
It was so hard. It
I
was
bet
so
it was,
hard.
Brandon.
It's still the same.
I bet it was.
Because like every time too, I would like look over and Dan or Zach would just be looking at me like 'cause they knew I was gonna break. Oh man.
Oh jeez. I think Brandon told me this story, but do you want to go into just the story behind the building on the album cover itself?
Oh, the picture. Yeah, it was just on my drive to work at the last school district I worked at. It gets sort of rural. So this one spot on this road, it just like opens up and it's this huge field, like hill, and house was like right in the middle of it. This old like dilapidated looking building. I was like, what the fuck? So like it was like the first time I saw it. So I drove past it every day, and I'm like, I gotta take a picture of this. I did. And I think I was like, there's like no traffic on these roads because, like I said, it's pretty rural. So I, like one day real quick, I got my phone ready and I was like, as I went by, and that was like one of the pictures I got. And kind of like with the cover or the title, it got, when we got to the point where we were thinking of covers, we had a couple of different ideas. And I think that was one where I was like, I feel like this picture fits the concept of the songs too. Like this, this empty, like worn out building, but it's still standing kind of thing. And like, that's the same, with like, I'm getting there. It's like, how's your house doing? It's like, it's okay. It's getting there. It's like, it's, so I really kind of pushed. I was like, guys, I think this fits. I would love to have this go with it.
And they're like, I don't give a shit.
Kind of, yeah, pretty much.
And something I've been thinking about more recently, especially with this podcast, is the idea of finding people such as yourselves, like bands and artists, who seem to be doing what they're doing, either making music or making art, whatever it is, solely because they enjoy doing it, not for a monetary value. Because like when you interview,
we would have stopped a long time ago.
When you do when you listen to podcasts with a lot of successful people and stuff, like they've already made it, and you can't really 100% tell if they're still doing it because they really enjoy it or if because they're making money from it still. So what are your thoughts on like creating music and creating art because you actually truly enjoy doing it versus the monetary value behind it?
Well, I mean,
I guess
I'm going to add crickets every time there's a pause like this.
Yeah, well, we just don't know who to start
right?
with, I guess. Go ahead, Zach.
Okay, I was going to say, well, at least for me, at this point, like, we've all graduated from undergrad and college and stuff, and it's like when I play guitar, when I come up with ideas, I'm really doing it either to play along with songs that I like, which would be just for me to have a good time, or it's just kind of jamming through and I'm just kind of hanging out at home. It's just what I do, and I do it because I like to do it, and it's not really for any sort of gain. I don't have any other real reason to do it other than the fact that I enjoy it. And also when hanging out with Dan and Brandon, it's really just one of the things. It's like, it's what we do. It's fun at practice. So we might go out and do other things, but we also just kind of, it's a good way to get together. Be like, we'll have a jam sesh. We'll go out to lunch. We'll do, whatever it is, maybe later on in the day, but it's kind of a good way for us all to hang out.
I mean, I feel like even when we're not practicing, music still comes up in conversation when we're all hanging out. So it's like it's just fun. I'm all in it for the money, though. By the way, I don't know about these guys.
That's a wasted venture, my friend.
Unfortunate.
I feel like if there's any like, if you ever need proof of like us doing it for our enjoyment versus money or anything like that, like we obviously don't make money, but like you listen to the shit we put out. Like if I wasn't enjoying what we were doing, I wouldn't be in this fucking band. I'm not putting songs out like this if I'm not enjoying the process behind it. Like,
I think, to Dan's point too, it's like if we were trying to make money, these are not the songs we'd be putting out, right? Like this
yeah,
isn't like the popular style of music. It's not even kind of the popular style of punk music now, or pop punk music.
yeah,
Right? I mean, it's like slightly different, So I think it's just for us, It's like we just have fun. I think all of us, like what Zach said, it's like we'd all be playing music on our own if we had no one to play with, or even a band, right? I mean, no, but you guys too, right? Like I'd still be making my own music, like on my own, if writing parts and stuff, like in lyrics and stuff. So I don't know. It's just like kind of lucked out finding a group of friends that all have the same kind of mindset,
yeah. I feel
Kinda nice.
like this is kind of a release in some way for all of us, like whether it's an emotional or stress relief kind of thing, or like
Or
whether it's
sexual.
just well, that's it. We didn't want to get into that on this podcast. But
That's the whole reason we get together. It's just we like looking at each other.
Whether it's like that stuff or even just like a creative outlet, like I've had in high school, I was like writing stuff like crazy, and I had no real outlet for it because I was playing drums for somebody who was writing his own music. So I was just kind of like writing the drum parts and stuff like that. I didn't really get to throw any of my musical like ideas in there. And that's not a knock on him. That's just like it was his project. That's how it works. But like,
I do remember the first time, like early on, Dan was like, "Hey guys, like, would it be alright if I do this on drums?" We're like, "Yes, Dan, it's your band too, totally. You are the drummer."
I feel like I always like to check to make sure everything like fits the
No,
vibe.
yeah,
like,
but I remember thinking that I was like, "Dan, you totally can. It's cool."
no, it wasn't like I was being controlled at all, but like I wanted to
Right.
make sure when it's somebody else's project, like you want to make sure
It's different,
you're fitting their vision. But like, yeah, I had like a bunch of ideas just sitting there, not being able to do anything because I only played drums. I didn't really sing that well. I didn't play I had like a melodic instrument, so I couldn't write any of that stuff. And like getting together with these guys and just having that outlet, and like they can build on my ideas, I can build on theirs. Like it's so nice just from a creative standpoint to finally get like the stuff you like kind of treasure in a way, like get that out there. Regardless of how it turns out, you're just proud of it regardless, so
Also, building on what Dan said, it's so cool, like, to hear the other parts finally on it. Like, there's so many times when I'm writing something, it's like, when this has drums behind it, like, it's gonna be so fucking cool. Or like, when like I can't play a great solo right now, but I know it's gonna be sick. And like,
God,
that's like the best part.
Even the bass and Counting Sheep, when I heard that the first time, I was like, oh, that's so fucking sick. Like I thought this song was cool to begin with, but like, goddamn.
Yeah, like I feel like like most of the time, I mean, for me anyway, like my favorite parts are not stuff that I came up with. It's like, that's so like I didn't expect that. I would have never thought of that, but there it is on something I made too, and it's like it's awesome.
What do you think would be an ideal, I guess, scenario for you playing shows and like at the same time making a little bit of cash at the same time? Like, how often would you be playing live shows, and like how much or how little money, and it still wouldn't be a lot of pressure to produce more music? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think I know we kind of talked about this in our individual ones too, Bryce. But for me, I think it has to do with kind of like it's gotta feel comfortable and natural. Like if it feels like, oh, I kind of have to sacrifice some stuff to actually do this, like, I don't know how great that would feel, you know, or it's like, I would, you know, my ideal situation is like, it kind of comes naturally. Like we just play enough and people start liking us and we we can actually play more and, you know, we can do more shows and we can keep doing this and, we're making money. Like we can do more stuff. And like, if it gets to a point where it's like, wow, like we can really keep doing this full on, make money. And it doesn't feel like we have to change things or sacrifice things. Like that's probably most ideal for me in my mind, especially now that like Zach was saying too, like we're all, you know, out of school and stuff, kind of doing our, you know, we all have ambitions career wise outside of music. So it's like, it kind of has to match up to feel like just as I think, maybe not secure, but like natural, I guess, if that makes sense. For me, anyway.
I feel like I probably once it starts like becoming a thing of like playing too much, I feel like that's one thing. If I'm going out there straight up just to make money, like it's not really that fun. I just kind of want to jam and hang out with some friends, you know. Like live shows are cool, but like the type of stuff we did with the house parties where you weren't making money, just having a good time,
Yeah.
like I would take that 100 times out of 100 over like doing a paid performance. I'm cool with that.
Yeah, I feel like most of the shows we've played too, it's like, I mean, there's a little bit of an element. It's like getting paid is like the last thing on our minds. Don't even like ask about that. Like these are non-house party shows, or even I guess even so. But then like the next thing is like, cool. Maybe more people will hear us and like our music, and we'll get our name out there and stuff. But like number one is just like, sick. We get to play music, like
Yeah.
in a fun environment. Like that's number one.
Also, it's like when we've got paid for like a couple of gigs. Usually it was like,
surprisingly.
great, we got like $40. Let's go get tacos. You know,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
All right, is there? I think we're running up on close to an hour based on the 3 recordings we have right now. Is there any other stuff you want to talk about before we say like where we can find you guys on social media or the album and everything? Is there anything you can think of?
Do you want to explain ZadMap?
I was just thinking that.
What the fuck is ZadMap?
Because Dan mentioned
Alright.
it earlier.
So, me and Zach, as you know, we wrote a bunch of stuff together while Brandon was at school, and we
Kissed?
kind of no, that's exactly what we did, but that's
much.
besides the point.
yeah.
We we always record demos in like my phone as just like voice recordings. It surprisingly picks up like pretty decently. So it's a good way to just like store ideas that we'd otherwise forget. So I got in the habit of naming our like ideas ZadMap, and it stands for Zach and Dan's Magical Adventure
No.
Part, and then like whatever number it was. I don't know how that came out to be. I don't know if you remember, Zach, but
Dude, I think you were just like, this is a magical adventure, and we're gonna like you wrote it in the Dropbox.
yeah, I feel like it was just like one of those things where I came up with it on the spot, and that's like what I started naming shit. So yeah, so ZadMap 7 is actually the 7th idea we had together.
Yeah, we didn't title it.
We just felt like it was too funny to not have a song named ZadMap on the album. So we didn't have a name for that one. We were just like, you know what, that's going to be our ZadMap. We picked ZadMap 7. And then we made sure it was, I think it's our 7th song on the album.
Yeah,
right?
it is.
I was very adamant about
that. Yeah, when we
that.
were doing track listing, I was like, I think
It
I was
should be
like,
8 or
yo,
6.
yeah, like how funny would it be if it was 8 or 6? And Dan's like, I physically cannot have that happen.
But like some other songs, 1001 was a ZadMap song. I believe that was ZadMap 10.
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
And then like Counting Sheep was definitely one. I think
Leaving
that was ZadMap
was
8.
Yeah.
Leaving was ZadMap 3, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
On the Floor
think
Again
that's
was
it.
like 12 or something.
Oh yeah, On the Floor Again we did late. Yeah. So we have a bunch of ZadMaps in there, but the one true ZadMap,
the one true
That one's
is number 7.
Yeah. So yeah, that's our little reminder that fuck you, Brandon. We did some songs on that. Okay.
We don't need you anymore.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else that you guys could think of?
I do want to throw out there, I know we shit on ourselves all the time,
Yeah.
but we've only had one ever newspaper review, and it was positive.
Woo! I wrote it. No. All right. Well, if
It is funny. Wait.
oh no, we're done.
That's
No,
what we
we're
shit
done,
on ourselves. No, please. The other day, my housemate Jake and his girlfriend. I think his girlfriend like didn't realize we had a band, but we all like hung out. And she was like, oh, "I've never heard you guys' stuff," and I was like, "I don't want to listen to that." Like, and so she played it. And I think Jake said, he's like, "I don't know why you guys shit on yourselves all the time. You guys are pretty good." And I was like, I think it is, we joke about it a lot, but I like the shit we come up with, obviously. Like, I think we wouldn't do it if we thought it was like bad. Like, there's so many times in practice where we're like, "Oh yeah, that was awesome." Like, but
I have a love-hate relationship.
it's a love hate. That's a good way to describe it. Yeah.
I feel like sometimes it's more of I hate the way it like came out in the end, but like I still love the music in itself. Like it's still fun to do. It's still good stuff.
Or vice versa. I hate that I like this so much. Like, this is so stupid.
Sometimes the execution could be better. That's probably true.
Yeah,
but
we're still
yeah,
there,
you're still
so.
there.
Yeah.
You'll all figure it out eventually.
Or we won't, and we'll just be professionally bad.
Plateau.
This is the last time TKON was ever together.
Yeah. This is our send-off podcast. I thought.
Didn't you know?
Yeah, the picture for this podcast will just be a gravestone with TKON.
No, dude, the YouTube icon is just be like TKON breaking up? Question mark?
People will be like, "Who is TKON?"
Yeah.
Then they'll hear it. They'll say, "Good."
Okay. Holy shit. All right. Well, where can we, the listeners, find the album and you guys on social media if you're on social media?
Internet.
Yep, that's it.
That's it. No, it's on like everything, kind of. Spotify.
If the audience doesn't know how to
Bandcamp.
use Google, I don't know what to tell them.
Honestly,
Man.
Yeah, man. We're there. We're on like, we like infrequently post on Twitter and Facebook.
Yeah.
And we're going to put it up on
Official,
YouTube soon enough.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Bandcamp, Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music. All the big companies were kind of marketing to us. So, we were like, you can have it, I guess.
All right, sick. Well, I think it turned out okay. I think it was good. First,
hey, what's your favorite song, Bryce?
Well, I never remember the name of
the one I listened to.
Because I listened to the full album. I like I Don't Know, obviously, but then it starts with a T, and I can never remember it.
The Transfusion?
Yeah, that's my favorite too. I like those two a lot.
Cool.
Any other questions?
What's your least?
Oh, I don't know that one. I haven't listened
There's
enough
too many.
to all the rest of them.
I haven't stopped trying to decide what my
all-time favorite is Spit. Everybody knows that. Everyone knows.
Those words taste good in your mouth.
Yeah,
huh,
Tickle
buddy?
My Mouth is a different song, but if you don't know Tickle My Mouth,
people are like, "What the?"
Listen to Dismantle Me, and then you'll know Tickle My Mouth.
The lyrics are Tickle My Mouth. It's official.
No,
I'm making it official right here, right now. It's Tickle My Mouth.
I'm waiting for the new one for this album.
Oh yeah.
I'm waiting for the next. What the fuck did you say there?
Cowboy Scavenger, 100%.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna sign off before we get too crazy. Thank you to you three for finally getting together. Glad we could somehow pull this off. And thanks for the individual interviews as well. For the listeners,
thank you, Bryce.
Hopefully,
thank you.
You check out this episode, and if you're listening now, go check out the other three, and give these guys some love on Spotify or wherever the hell you listen to music. Zach, the silhouette, is kissing you if you couldn't see. But anyways, thanks for listening. Peace out, and good luck, everybody.